Hi there, I'm 𝘺𝘥𝘪𝘥𝘆, a leadership expert with over 15 years of experience leading teams and developing leadership programs for over 400 leaders. I've had the privilege of designing learning programs for companies ranging from 15 to 5,000 team members, and I've earned a Doctor of Education degree to make sure that all of the programs I develop maximize learning and action. Through the 𝘺𝘠𝘪 Leadership Academy, I empower emerging and existing leaders to embrace their authentic leadership style, create team synergy, and foster a positive work culture through curated and personalized learning experiences. In this podcast, we'll talk about how leadership can be found in everyday activities and provide practical tips for those who are new to managing or leading a new team. If you're a leader or hoping to be one, by title or not, I'd love to connect, get to know you better, and find out how I can help. You can grab a free resource on my website, 𝘺𝘪leadershipacademy.com, and sign up for my weekly email newsletter where we talk about leadership skills, network, and share action-based ways to enhance team collaboration and positive productivity.
This mini-sode is about nailing communication and feedback, because who doesn't love a good, awkward conversation? Let's get started. All right, so one of the questions that came in about communication and feedback were, what are the best practices for giving constructive feedback? Now, first off, I want to say that anytime you're using constructive feedback, you should also be considering whether you should give positive feedback for other things. And I'm not talking about the feedback sandwich where you do positive, negative, positive, because nobody likes that, and things just get lost. Too much feedback at one time. So I would say pick one thing that you're giving feedback on. Unless you're doing an annual review, fine. If you're having just a regular feedback session, which you should do regularly in your one-on-ones or on a more frequent basis than annual, because you don't want anybody to be surprised about how they're doing when it gets to their annual review. So giving more feedback frequently is a way to do that. All right, so my favorite method for giving feedback, whether it's positive or constructive, is the SBI method. SBI stands for Situation, Behavior, and Impact. Now, I like this method to structure feedback for a couple of reasons. It focuses on specific behaviors and outcomes, and it stays away from feelings, from personal characteristics. It really focuses on facts. And then the other part I really love about it is the impact piece, the I of SBI. That's because you're giving a concrete way that that person has impacted something. Either somebody on your team, a client, a project, a deadline, whatever they did, there's some sort of impact to it. Now, I could tell you I don't like your behavior, but if I don't tell you why that behavior is detrimental, you might not even want to even worry about it. You're not going to try to change it just because I say I don't like it, right? But if I say, when you did that on such and such date, the client had to pay an additional amount of money because we were behind the deadline and there was a fee involved, right? So you're giving some sort of concrete evidence as to why that behavior was detrimental, or if you're doing positive feedback, why that behavior was great, right? Nobody likes to hear great job. What does great job mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? Great job just means I have nothing else to say. I don't have enough words or I can't articulate exactly why it was great, but I'm just going to tell you great job just to check that off my list. Right? So in order to kind of circumvent that, I really like SBI because you are specifically saying this at this time and location, you did this behavior, again, facts, not feelings, and it had this particular impact. And so people get less defensive with that method. They're more understanding of what happened as a result of that behavior and how that impacts other people or other things. And they're more likely to realize what happened and why that behavior is either desirable or not desirable in the future. So I really like that method. And again, make sure you're also giving positive feedback this way. And I'll tell you something, as a leader, if you start to use this method of feedback, your team is going to start to use this method of feedback also. So when you're looking for them to either evaluate you, evaluate each other, evaluate what happened on a project, evaluate a discussion at a team meeting, they're going to start to use SBI more often as you use it more often. So really set the tone for them by using this SBI method. I love this one. All right. Next question, how do I handle underperformance in a way that's constructive and fair? This is a great question. I think it ties back to how'd you give the feedback, right? That underperformance should be given in that SBI method, right? What was the situation? What did the person do? And what was the result? Now, once you do that, you're probably going to want to have an open dialogue with your team member to identify the root cause of that underperformance, right? What's going on that's causing them not to perform in the way that's expected? Is it a communication issue? Is it they don't have the skill? Is it they don't have the support? Like, what's going on? Do some root cause analysis to figure out why is that underperformance happening. When you figured out what's going on, then you have the ability to go back and develop a performance improvement plan with some clear, measurable goals, right? So if I know what's going wrong, I can say, okay, to fix that problem, here's what our plan is. Here's our goals for fixing the performance in the future. And then as you're doing the plan with them, and this should be a two-way conversation, offer support, offer resources. You want to help that team member improve, right? Your goal is that everybody on the team succeeds together. You're not going to just let Susie go off and die on her own because she can't do something, right? You want to offer her the support that she needs to improve. So work on how you're giving feedback, identify the root cause of the underperformance, and then develop a performance improvement plan with your team member side by side to figure out how we can fix the performance. All right, the last question that came in on this topic was, how can I ensure my team's goals align with organization's objectives? So how's my team's goals aligning with my company's goals? So I think number one, hopefully you have a company that is regularly communicating their vision and their goals in general. As a leader, you should take those goals and visions of the company and communicate those to your team. Then I always suggest that a team should have a mission, vision, and core values of their own. So yes, your company might have a mission, vision, and core values, but your team might also need a mission and vision and core values. And by might, I say they should have one of those, a set of those, because that helps them align with each other and with you on what you're delivering as a team and how you're delivering it. And so involving them in creating that mission, vision, and values for your team is going to help them align around a particular route of how you're going to get to the company's goals, right? So yes, you want to think about the company's mission, vision, and core values and goals, but you also want to make sure your team understands how their mission, vision, and core values apply to those organizational goals. Then you're going to want to make sure that you're checking, if you have a bunch of new people come on your team, or you lose some people on your team, or your team's function changes, you're going to want to reassess that mission, vision, and core values. It's not a bad idea to do that annually at the least. And then you're going to want to monitor progress and adjust the goals that you have as a team to stay aligned with your organizational changes. So if your company's goals change, you may need to tweak your goals as a team. But if you don't have them to start with, you can't change anything. So start with putting together mission, vision, and core values with your team. You want their buy-in so that you're all aligned together.
Thanks for joining me for this mini-sode. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, you can find me there, sharing practical tips and insights on all things leadership. And don't forget to grab the free resource on my website, 𝘬𝘪leadershipacademy.com, and get more great tips directly in your inbox. Have a great rest of your day and see you back here soon.